really get you enthusiastic about using marketing and social media and how it can actually benefit us under the Discover Sailing brand. So please welcome Jason.
Not that on. How you doing, guys? I'm here to talk about embracing social media for business. Nicola's mentioned that a lot of you guys actually run coaching things for sailing, and to sort of tailor it to that. Just a brief sort of outline. I just want to go through a couple of things to sort of set the scene. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you want me to put this there? Just to set the scene, I want to talk about this concept of technological convergence. I want to talk about internet usage trends, leading into sort of social media networking. This concept of virtual communities and how you guys can actually utilize these to help market your product and service. I want to talk a little bit about marketing and search engine optimization and how that can link to social media, and it's quite easy to do. I'll touch on social media dangers. I actually don't see it as a huge problem. And then on the bottom here where it's got TED talks, some icons, some Creative Commons stuff, it's basically just some sort of resources for you guys to go and have a look at some point. So I'll sort of lead you through those as well. First thing, do you like to look at these social media icons? Are they different? Like them? Too blue? Don't like them? I put them up there for a reason, and we'll sort of get into that at a certain point. I also have had a quick look at Yachting Australia, Yachting Queensland, and Discover Sailing websites, just to see how everything run and how you sort of use social media. So we'll sort of talk through that, and I have a few ideas, might be good, bad, but we'll pull those up as well in a bit. So the idea of this technological convergence basically is just united from different directions, and it's a merge between groups or tendencies that were originally opposed or extremely different. In computing terms, this is the technological convergence part. It's a convergent environment is one where a user can access a wide range of multimedia services using any type of device and any type of network connection. So think internet using your mobile phone, think television and news and newspapers accessed via the net. Think phone calls via Skype, and emergency broadcasts via social media. Basically, it refers to previously separate technologies like voice, data, video, and they basically now share resources and interact with each other. Excuse guys, I just put that. What it's doing is basically creating new possibilities, both personal and professional. It's not just a technological shift, or a technological process. It's basically a shift within the cultural and social models. And basically it's changing the ways in which we communicate, seek information, consume and interact with each other. The interesting point is nothing is static here. It's under constant reform and adaptation, and that's sort of the fun aspect of it in my mind. In a business sense, convergence is simply how individual consumers interact with others on a social level, and use various media platforms to create new experiences. So a little bit on internet usage trends, because I think it sort of sets the scene for why this stuff is so important. Increasing numbers of Australians are now actively engaging in the digital economy. What it's doing is facilitating new and existing forms of social and economic interaction, and there's three key components to it. One, we have better connectivity. Two, we are more capable. And three, we have a lot more confidence in this. And so on connectivity, capability and confidence, connectivity is simply just the uptake of resources that facilitate participation in the online environment. Capability is just having the necessary expertise and skills to effectively use the internet for whatever reason. And the confidence refers to our self-belief in our ability to manage online interactions, and also belief and trust in the system itself, in the process behind the internet. So a little bit more on connectivity. We have access to internet at several locations. Most of us have access to broadband services in our homes. 80% of us, as of June last year. Internet access, this is an important point, is no longer restricted to a physical site. Most of you actually know that already, but it is important to remember. And we can actually go online from a range of locations. It doesn't really matter anymore. One interesting point here is over the past 4 years, the increasing use of mobile phones to access the internet has been the most dramatic change to the way Australians participate in the digital economy. And what sort of increases are we talking about here? Internet use via mobile phones has increased from about 8% in June 2008 to 32% June last year. It doesn't sound like much, but I'll show you the graph here. So just to orientate you, the dates are on the bottom, 2008 right through to 2012. On the y-axis, the vertical one, is the percentage of people aged 14 years and over using these sorts of internet connections. Everything is slowly going up, and what you'll see is the broadband connection and all that sort of stuff is still the highest, but what you also see down here, this is the use of mobile phones to access the internet. That's the most dramatic rate of change right there. And that's why it's important. And so one thing I noted, I actually went and had a look I looked at your websites, all of them, not only on my PC, laptop and iPad, but also on my mobile phone, because it's extremely important now. I'm constantly connected. The students I teach at uni are constantly connected. They use this as their primary source. Most of the time they use it on the bus to access internet and websites and things like that. What I noticed when I pull up Yachting Australia and the other ones as well, I think I only looked at Yachting Queensland as an example of the state one. It doesn't pull this up, but what it does pull up is a very unattractive plain text, hear me out, plain text version of the latest news. So it just doesn't look inviting. Now there is a link to go to the full site, and it actually looks really cool. So it's your basic Yachting Australia site. It does fit within the mobile thing. I'm just not sure why it puts the landing page as an unattractive thing, because not everyone sees the links to go to the full site. On the latest news bit, and I sort of throw these in as we go along, I jumped on the Yachting Queensland, and this latest news idea is extremely important because it gets people updated, it keeps them involved, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. What I found were some inconsistencies in the latest news stuff listed on the Yachting Queensland website. So I'm not trying to hammer anyone, I'm just sort of picking out things that I would use as a user as I surf around your websites. So what I noticed, there's 3 separate links on Yachting Queensland's website that says something like latest news, and they all go to different areas. And one of the biggest ones that I noticed is I found one, and this is all on the home page, but I clicked on latest news, it went to this. Now you might be able to see it, but that post was done in 2009. It's the only bit of latest news on that website. And so I find that sort of, I don't know, you find that, and it's like, it's almost, the idea behind latest news and constant updates is almost to say, hi guys, hi customers, clients, potential target audience, we're still here and we're still doing cool stuff. And so to have something come up with 2009 as your latest thing is just like, I'd get rid of the page altogether and use the other links. Okay, back on capability. Basically going online is just about accessing information and services to go about our daily tasks, right? Just to get things done. So we develop capabilities necessary to participate in this. And basically it's just having the necessary experience and skills to effectively use the internet. And we do this quite well. Evidence that we do it quite well is seen in the increasing frequency of internet use in Australia, and also the increasing time that we actually spend online. And so a couple of things on it. In terms of frequency of internet use, as of June last year, 73% of internet users went online more than once a day. And so it's increased from about 61% 4 years ago. All this stuff, I'll drop the source off it, it comes from a media authority report, right? And there's a link in through these slides where you can go and read it. It's quite interesting. In terms of time spent online, we spend an average of 81 hours, roughly about 2.7 hours a day online during June last year. The only thing I could find to compare that was something, I think it was 4 years ago, where they said 28% of the total Australian population were estimated to be heavy internet users, and they spend around about 15 hours a week online. This actually is a little bit over, I think it gets to about 18 hours or something online. The other thing to think about when you see numbers like this is done on a huge sample, and you guys are targeting certain groups. And so to revert back to when I teach at university, that group would be way over this. That target audience, this number, 2.7 hours a day online, is not representative. So that's something to keep in mind. It's high, but not representative of everyone. And forget the rest of the graph, just go straight to here. Basically, it's just percentage of internet users aged 18 years and over accessing the internet more than once a day. And the colours black is 2010, blue, dark blue is 2011, and this one's June 2012. So it's just saying that it's increasing. So I'm trying to sort of set the scene a bit. The next component of this increasing intensity of online use is that we're confident in it. Confidence in the digital economy and aspects of the internet is demonstrated by the broadening online participation in Australia, increasing levels of online social interaction. That's an important one for us in this presentation, and basically just our general attitudes towards the net itself. What is one of the strongest driving forces in the increasing level or intensity of online participation in this country? It's the participative web, and it encompasses social networking and user-generated content. And this is why I actually see this stuff, social media networking and anything that is user-generated online, as an important tool for businesses, and in terms of their marketing as well. It basically continues to be a major driving force in the increasing intensity of online participation in Australia. Whoops. An example. In terms of our confidence and in terms of the idea that the reason behind it is that we want to participate in it and we want to be social online, the top 3 websites, just look at the top 3. This is the top 10 websites accessed in Australia on the left, UK in the middle, US, I think it was last year. The top 3, Google search is 1, right? Doesn't always go number 1, but it's in there, and that makes sense, right? We go and search for stuff, and that's pretty much one of the biggest things we use the net for. The other 2 are Facebook and YouTube. Participative web, user-generated content, and both are social networks. And this is what we actually do online. Now, the business sector in Australia has been slowly recognising the potential of social networking for business and networking purposes over the past 4 years, probably a bit longer, but they're still slow on the uptake of it. So what percentage of small to medium enterprises, and I'm saying employees of 1 to 200, connected to the internet in any way use online social network channels for business purposes like advertising and brand awareness raising? In 2010 it was only 10%. It's going up. In 2011 it was 18%. In last year in June it was 27%. So given that what we know about, I actually find that an extremely low percentage. And I'll show you why. Basically because social media usage has seen unprecedented growth in the Asia Pacific region over the past 4 years. It's now one of the most critical trends in the online sector. Close to 75% of the world's net population have visited a social networking site. Interesting point, we actually lead the world in social media engagement. I actually find that odd. But we have the highest global average for time spent online engaging with social media. So 7 hours, 41 minutes per month last year. Again, a very, very broad sample. In certain target groups, the numbers are a lot higher. In terms of the Yanks, they spend nearly a quarter of their time online in social networking and blogs. And so a little quote here, despite the almost unlimited nature of what you can do on the web, 40% of US online time is spent on just 3 things: social networking, playing video games, and email. And what it does is it basically leaves a lot of other sectors fighting for a really small piece of the online pie, so to speak. It's irrelevant to us because basically social networking is one of them, and the idea here is to use it to market business and to promote your companies and your brands. Facebook leads the way. Twitter activity is on the rise. The world's internet users are rapidly increasing their participation in social media, content sharing, and brand interaction. Nearly 4 in 5, about 80% of Australia's 9 million social media users sent or shared a link into 10. Oh, sorry, I missed that up, but you get the point anyway. Interesting point here. The biggest increases in social media usage over the past sort of 4 years is reading and posting on Twitter. So I highlighted that for a reason. But also engaging with brands and organisations via social media. I highlighted this because I actually also jumped, I'm not trying to pan Yachting Queensland, I'm actually a Queenslander, so I use them as the example. They do have social media stuff here. So they've got Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and I'm not sure, that's the latest news button, or one of them. But what I did notice is they're not using Twitter. They're not using Twitter. The biggest increases in social media usage is reading and posting on Twitter. It's extremely simple to use. It's extremely simple to use from both ends. As a brand posting updates and announcements, it's short, and also as a user, you just sort of stay up to date with things. So that's one thing there. No Twitter on Yachting Queensland. Interesting point. Now check this one out. These guys, Discover Sailing, are using Twitter. It's right there. You might be able to see it. That's actually a little social media icon. That's Facebook. That's Twitter. I can't even see that one. It might be YouTube or something. So, Discover Sailing.
Why do you get the rest?
Hold the applause. That's premature. So they are using Twitter, but they only have one tweet. And that's it. So the idea here is to, again, it just says, hi guys, we're here, we're doing cool stuff, and it's almost like a legitimacy thing. If it's regular and updated and current, you are a legitimate website in the online world. It works for it works for search engine optimization techniques. It sort of pumps you up Google search ratings. Right? So that's the importance with this sort of stuff. Social media is an integral decision-making tool for customers hunting new products. Consumers are increasingly finding the net and mobile vehicles just as compelling as more traditional advertising. And consistent with household social networking activities in Australia, Facebook is the most prominent social media network used by Australian small to medium enterprises. And a little graph. Now it says 86% are using Facebook, so it's the most prominent one, but don't confuse that. It's not 86% of all small to medium enterprises in Australia. It's 86% of the percentage that are actually using it, which is 27. Right? So don't confuse that one. The ultimate sort of point here is social media is beyond a shadow of a doubt here to stay. Now it might change. Facebook is old. It's about, 9 or 10 years old now. So it might change in the future, but it is here to stay in some form or another. And basically it needs to be taken seriously by the broader business community. Basically I'm not going to read this one, but the idea is to just embrace this. Right? Don't be afraid of it. It's there, it's not going anywhere, and it's definitely a huge opportunity. Nearly 2 in 5 Australians are now interacting with companies or brands via social networking sites, and what that does is actually reinforce the notion that Australians are open to engaging with brands and companies online. So if you're wondering if you could find out just which social media websites your specific target audience are routinely spending time on, could you find it? Of course you can. And there's go chuck that into Google and you'll find the report. Right? So it basically splits it up. This is a very rudimentary sort of graph, just splits it into age groups, but that's important as well. And then all the social media stuff's here and the percentage of people using those types of social media. If you're wondering how often they use these social networking sites, the intensity of their usage, could you find that? Of course you can. Right? And so this basically splits it up in terms of all the social media stuff, or a few anyway, and the total sessions, the total minutes, and the total pages viewed. I think that's in a month. I could be wrong. Again, in certain target audiences, this is way, way low. So I know students will sit on that thing, Facebook 24/7. It's never logged out, it's always on, and that's pretty much all they do. So the power and appeal of social media is not just hype, and this is a really interesting point. It blows me away every time I check it out, but it is true. After friends and family, the people you love and trust, the number one driver for brand trust is online reviews and feedback from the social media space. It's an amazing sort of fact that people will jump from family and friends, people who love and care about them, about and getting their opinion on a product or a service or anything, and they'll jump straight to online reviews and social media for the next one. I find that odd because there's no filter here. Anyone can post up comments online. There's no sort of administrative thing going on, and so sometimes it is bogus. It's you're getting opinions that are incorrect. But again, it's sort of irrelevant. If brands believe that trust is central to their message and their marketing, then social networks must be part of this equation. Okay, a quick thing. Nicola, you want to give me a yell if I get to like 40 minutes? Because I wanted to pull up your webbies. Okay. I think on this idea of social networks are virtual communities. So just a quick thing on communities. In biological terms, a community, all it is a group of interacting organisms sharing a populated environment. Intent, belief, resources, preferences, needs, risks, a whole stack of other stuff need to be present and common, and they affect the individual's identity and the degree of cohesiveness within that community. It's a broad term for a fellowship or an organised society, and here's the kicker, it's a geographically circumscribed entity. It's dependent on location, your neighbourhood communities, that's the idea here. Since the advent of the internet, however, the concept of community no longer has these geographical limitations. Right? And that's a key point. The advantages of it, information can be posted very quickly, response times are very fast as well. You can use it to engage in activities from home, shopping, finance, research. They can also provide a feeling of membership and belonging, and don't discount that, because the feeling of community, even around your sailing clubs and things like that, it's an important part of the business, I would say. And the online stuff can just provide another outlet or an opportunity to create that sense of community. It's simple and cheap to use. It's basically free, but there's a time aspect too, so the cheap bit is dependent on who you have doing it. Students would do this for free as work experience. The disadvantages, we mentioned this before, there's no editor that reviews all the posts. Anyone can get up there and put stuff on there. Identities are often kept anonymous, and information online is permanently online, and that's one of the major sort of dangers that I see in anything to do with social media and online communities. The word research might sound a bit boring, but hear me out on this one, because I'm sort of heading to a point. There's a stack of different research around this idea of virtual communities and the different stages people move through. I'm not going to harp on it, but I will sort of jump through it fairly quickly. When you start, let's say everyone is on Facebook, you sort of start as a visitor, you're in there, you're checking it out, there's a term for it, it's called a lurker. After breaking through a barrier, which for most people is just signing on, you become a novice and you start to play around and partake in community life. And after you've been there for a while, you become a regular. So here's the two key ones here. After breaking through another barrier, and usually it's you start discussions, you start groups, you do all this sort of stuff, you actually become a leader. And once you've been in there for ages, you're an elder. Right? And often you're on your way out at this point. You're over it, you're bored, and you're heading to the next one. Same thing here, different group of people. There's exactly the same information. The key thing with this leaders and elders thing it mimics, I think it mimics just normal communities in daily life. So let's get offline for a minute. The idea behind leaders and elders are they are influential and people take their advice seriously and they can actually make things happen. And the same thing online. Cyber communities, and let's just go with Facebook, Twitter, anything like that, social media are the next big opportunity for marketers. Savvy marketers are already monitoring the chatter online about their brands and companies. And the idea is that you can then craft marketing messages to more effectively target your clients and your potential clients. Now, I wrote eventually, but this is really already happening. Marketers court influential members of cyber communities, the leaders, the elders, to generate positive buzz around products. And they might pay them for it, they might not, but they'll work out something. And that's a fairly high-end sort of thing to do, but it is something to think about as you sort of play around with this stuff. So companies should therefore look for logical ways to create connections between your product or service, social networking sites, and key influencers of these sorts of communities, which often could be your social media administrator, whoever the one is up there running it. Now, small businesses, like a lot of the small sailing clubs and things like that, they're especially dependent on favourable testimonials. Now, I mentioned this before, consumers, for many consumers, online forums have become the favoured means of sharing feedback about businesses and products. And customer participation is credited with generating tangible enterprise value. Consumers trust each other more than they trust advertisers or businesses. It's an odd thing, but that's the way it is. The question is how you turn that to your advantage. Basically, if you go into this area and you have a lot of different social media stuff set out, oversee it all, have someone to oversee it all, closely monitor what's going on there. Right? Anyone can jump on, anyone can be a member, and monitor the chatter. Right? Use your online communities to gather insights about what they want and what they liked about the product or service. What did they like about the sailing day or the course that you run? And funnel this feedback back to your marketers and your administrators, and try and use that to more effectively market your message. The key thing for me here, and this is sort of one of the dangers, if someone pans your business, they pay it out, so these guys are terrible. Use that criticism to identify and fix the problems, but more importantly, just respond to it. Respond quickly and respond in a positive manner. And it actually has a positive effect. But ultimately, building an online pipeline from consumers to product creators or service providers is now or should be a crucial business marketing procedure. I'll leave that one. And a little bit on marketing. Now, most of you guys know this marketing is just process of matching products and services to the needs and wants of customers. The key thing is communicating that match. How well do we match that? Effective marketing requires you guys to define your unique selling proposition. What is it that makes you unique? From my perspective, in the days of such a converged environment, we have access to so much cool stuff online, you almost need to be remarkable in some way to stand out. And so the question is, are you unique? Are you remarkable? I actually think you are. This looks really cool. There's a remarkable, unique aspect to this. It's a good service, it's a good product, and we just need to actually put that out there. Marketing your brand's uniqueness or remarkability via the net and via social media is extremely important in this converged environment. The ultimate sort of take-home message is, why is it so important? That's because basically that's where your clients are spending all of their time, online. They spend a hell of a lot of time online, and they do it on social media. The key thing for me is, I still don't see it as the be-all and end-all. I can talk it up, but it's only one facet of your overall marketing strategy. For me, the product or the service provided is key. If you think you go to a hotel, they could have fantastic social media marketing campaigns, fantastic websites, but the service was horrible, and the room was horrible, and that just, the whole thing sort of falls down there. So the product and the service is key. And I think you guys are probably doing that really well, and you should promote that. Put it out there. Say, hey, we're doing great things here. How am I going? So I didn't want to go over.
Yeah.
Oh, really? All right. Well, I'll just slow down.
I'll ask you one question.
Basically, social media networking in this manner is just pull marketing or opt-in marketing. It's the coolest way to do it, mainly because it asks for your audience, your target audience, or your customers' permission to send them this stuff. Think of Facebook. You put your Facebook page up. The permission is when they click, I like this. As soon as they do that, they've opted in. They can opt out at any point, and that's important as well, but they've actually said, I would like to hear more about this. If they do that on your Discover Queensland social Facebook page, if they like it, anytime you post something up there, it comes into their 24-hour feed as soon as they log on, so they get to see it. It's an important aspect, and I'll sort of pull me back to that if I don't go over it. It's an effective marketing tool because it's very targeted, it's personalised, and because it's done with the permission of the target audience or your clientele. It's hard though. There's a time component here. Anyone running this sort of stuff behind the scenes to continually punch out updates and announcements and do it well and link everything together, there's a time component. Monitoring the chatter, responding, all this sort of stuff, there is a time component to it, but it is actually pretty much the best way to market your business. Even offline, pull marketing is best. A couple of steps to do it. I never actually got to a form on one of your websites, but when you do this sort of stuff, which is actually a point I wanted to make, and you probably do this in other ways anyway, when you fill out, you have waivers for when they sign up for a course, and mobile number, address, collect that sort of information because it is usable. You provide the information that they want. The key thing is this, the reason I panned the latest news thing is because that's the most important bit. Latest news is current and up to date, and it's basically giving them what they want. They forget about you sometimes. Offer incentives. This is another key aspect from my perspective. You have to provide someone a reason to come back into your website. And often it's an incentive or an upcoming thing. I'm not sure if you offer discounts and things like that, but different new packages, new courses, new coach comes online. A new coach comes on board with this sort of experience. That's an announcement worthy of posting up. Provide convenient ways for them to sign up, and always provide an option to get out if they want. Because that's extremely annoying if you can't get out and you are getting bombarded with stuff that you no longer want. I want to talk a little bit about search engine optimization because it is linked to social media. Basically, the idea behind it is it just bumps up your website and the pages within it on a Google search result, or different sort of search engines. Now, it's extremely important because you can have the best website in the world, but if no one knows it's there, then the thing is useless. 90% of search engine users will also click on a result in the first 3 pages. I won't go past the first. I'm extremely impatient. If it's not on the first one, I'm not searching in the right area. So the idea is to sort of optimize for all different types of search terms to get yourself up on that first page. The only time I go past this is if I'm researching stuff. And it might be buried a bit deep because you get all this other stuff that's optimizing itself a lot better. 88% of search engine users will change their query. It could be altogether. Stuff it, I'm not going sailing. If they don't find what they want in the first 3 pages, more likely the first page. They know what they want. They want to find it immediately. This is another key point I was going to talk about on your websites. And the majority want to find it on page 1. The idea behind it is if your site is not found on the first page or within the first 3 pages, that's okay. You might as well be putting up a billboard in the woods. That's the idea. I'm just wondering how much I wanted to go into this. Basically, I'll just sort of run through it fairly quickly. As an internet marketing strategy, SEO, the way you do is it considers how search engines work, what people search for. That's the easiest thing to do. So think about the sailing experience. What would I actually type in? The word sailing is an easy one. The state is an easy one, but some people won't do that. They might just write in cool activity, cool kids activity. You don't know. They might spell things wrong. You optimize for that. Don't worry about it. You can do this stuff in ways that it's not seen on your website. But people spell things wrong, so you allow for that. And also which search engines are preferred by different target audiences. 2 ways to do it. You can do it techniques that search engines recommend as part of good design. Techniques that search engines do not approve of, and this is basically some sort of deception. Basically white hat, black hat. The idea with white hat is if I type in cool kids activity in Manly, that comes up and it's relevant and I actually asked for it. Where some people will tag everything with, they'll optimize for cool kids activity and it'll be something totally ridiculous. Right? It'll be like a nightclub. For example, I'm being extreme there. Right, but the idea is that there's no deception here. This is what we're selling. We've optimized everything. We're on the first page, and when you click on it, you get what you want. A cool kids activity down here at Manly. Now I'm not going to go in all of this. There's a whole stack of tips, and you guys can have these slides if you want. This is more for your website administrators, but this stuff comes in handy as well when you're trying to think out how to lay out websites and how to interact with them and how to tell people where to go as well. I just wanted to jump straight to this. Social media is a search engine optimization technique. You're posting, they're called link baits. They're like posts, announcements, advertisements, updates, anything you think is relevant, put it on social media. The key with it is your website sits out there. Let's say it's a but Discover Sailing One looks really cool. It's a fantastic looking website. People don't go on there for no reason. They don't sit on there all day to watch for an update. But what they are doing is sitting on Facebook a lot. And they sit on other sorts of social media. The idea is you post something on your website, it automatically goes to Facebook. It's quite easy to do. They're there, your target audience is there, and it pops up on their screen. It's sort of a prompt for that. As soon as they click on it, the idea is it links back to your website and ultimately back into your company, and you generate profit. That's the idea. People don't sit on websites. I don't. I wait for a prompt. I'm going to gloss over this. I'm not afraid of it at all. I don't post stuff up online. I don't be ridiculous. I try and keep it, I try and advise students against putting dodgy stuff up online, but they don't listen. But that's the sort of main sort of danger. The other one is just monitoring that chatter about your company or your brand. The idea behind why it's a danger is the same reason that it's so effective. Because as soon as something is posted on social media, it's transmitted out extremely rapidly and to a wide audience. And it can snowball very quickly. And that's the idea. That's the main sort of danger that I see. As a result, there's these companies that are popping up now, reputation management companies. They charge heaps for this. It's professional and business focused as well. And they basically, their job is to come in and clean up the mess, basically. And the idea is they just paint. The easiest way to try and push it down off the first 3 pages because no one looks there. That's pretty much the idea. Interesting point about these guys is they started and they probably still work as search engine optimization companies. So they're promoting content, but they'll also, if you want it pushed off the page, they'll do that as well. It's a good method. A couple things. I didn't want to go into these. These are sort of more for you to have a look at in your own time. Have you ever come across these TED talks, Ideas Worth Spreading? There's some really cool talks on there. I just put some links. Click that. I think that's a link as well. Or you can just copy that and dump it into the thing. And they're all on the internet, and they're all on social media marketing and things like that. This one is sort of really cool because it brings in this concept that the internet is this sort of weird thing that sits out and we don't really know what it is, but there's actually a physical component to it. And he takes you through the process, and he has pictures and video of guys dragging out the cable in Africa. That's the internet. And so it's a sort of really cool presentation to check out. This one has relevance to the social media stuff. I put losing control here because in a way, when you do this stuff, you are almost losing a little bit of control of your brand, and it can be a scary aspect. The idea is not to be afraid of it. Most people do the right thing, but to sort of release yourself from that fear, and don't be afraid to lose a bit of control. The key is you're losing a bit of control, but you're also giving your target audience a little bit of ownership over your company or your brand as well, and that makes them feel wanted and belonging, and there's that community sort of aspect. This one, the idea of remarkability, if you get a chance, it's a quick presentation. He's a really cool talker, presenter. He's a marketing guy, and he talks about being remarkable in this day and age, and you really have to sort of stand out to be seen. This guy, a really slick presentation, go and check it out. I think he's Scottish. It's very well rehearsed, not like mine, but it works. And he hits this idea of losing control. Now the other thing, the reason I pull up social media icons at the start and say, did you like them? No, well, they're blue. There's nothing that special about it, but they're different. Is I also give you a link here. Now I know some of you actually have to go and do this stuff. You have to put social media icons, there's supposed to be a few more there, social media icons on all sorts of stuff. Pamphlets, your traditional marketing, but also on your websites. You can put these things on the email. All I'm doing is actually giving you a link to one of the coolest ones I've found. It's free. Click on the link, it'll take you to a website I'll show you in a second. And you can basically download social media icons of all, there's tons of them. Different colours, you want blue, you get blue, you want red. There's a million different varieties. The idea for me is that they need to match your company's image and they need to match the website. And I make that point for a reason, which I'll touch on in a second.
15 minutes.
All right, cool. Let's forget Creative Commons. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I just want to pull up your websites. And I'll start with, and I'll try and do this experiment quickly. Were you Internet Explorer, Nicola? Oh, okay. There we go. How do I just click it? What do I want to go through? I've got a little list here. Oh, I'll pull up Yachting Queensland. Hang on. They do some good things. Here we go, Yachting Queensland. I'll jump straight to the social. The reason I gave you the link to the social media icon thing, you download these things, you get packs of them, all different things, you can pick what you want. Yachting Queensland have social media on their website. Cool. Now, I actually checked it out, it works really well. The reason I pull up the icons thing, I actually don't like the icons. I actually don't think they match the website. I don't think they look professional. They're also not the same size. This thing is bigger than this. The other thing, this Facebook thing has black around it. They're also the most oldest looking social media icons ever built. They're the originals. So the idea with the web treats and this is the website too, by the way. Web treats, this is what you'll see, and you just click straight on icons. Just click straight on icons and just scroll. You can search for stuff, just scroll around. And they basically give you like a half picture. This is sort of what they look like, and there's millions of different things. And, it's all free, and you just basically click on the one you want. Don't go for grunge warning stripes either. I don't think that would match. I think you need to have a professional thing, but it needs to match your website as well. And just scroll down and just make sure that they have what you want. Sorry, I'm having trouble using this. Just check that you've got the social media icon you want and then hit download and you have a whole stack of social media icons. Let me just jump back to Yachting Queensland. That was the first thing. Oh, here's the next one. That's your website. The idea with websites, you want to keep people on it. You have heaps of content. It's interesting content. It's enough to keep people there. But watch what happens if I click on Facebook. So your website's there, and now your website's gone. And so for me, that's a missed opportunity because now people have any external link that goes out of your website, make it an external link and open up in a new window. It's easy to do. It's just a simple thing that I noticed straight away. Your website's now gone. Even worse, if I was to click on some of your sponsors, if they're sponsors and the same thing happens, now I'm off Yachting Queensland. I actually think the digital age gives us sort of short attention spans, and I see it in students as well. And they might forget about this if they're taken away from it. So try and keep them there as long as possible. Another thing, more of a design thing, it has a professional look to it. There's something about all these different shaped boxes that bugs me. There's something about it, it sort of looks a little unbalanced. And it sort of keeps going and just sort of scrolls down. There's a lot of empty stuff, but a lot of sponsors here too. I actually think, see these sponsor logos? Get them out on a transparent background. So it matches, because you have this sort of light Queensland maroon, it's a maroon sort of background, light maroon. So just put the sponsors logos on a transparent background so you can sort of keep that cool maroon look. Yachting Queensland, no Twitter, we've already gone there, so I'm not going to hammer on again. Extremely easy to put up. Now what they do, let me just find this. They do something really well. And I think this is the page. So this is latest news. This is cool. This is May 14. It's current, relevant, It has a cool picture, some text, a little link to say you want more. I actually find that that's the idea with latest news. And Yachting Queensland are doing this really well. The only thing that I see here, and I haven't actually clicked on it, is the way it's set up. This is just one single page. It has the same URL. And I'm just going to pull up an example. This is a website I use for teaching. You can't see it all. I have a latest news page as well. Let me click on it. Okay, so see, same idea. Latest news, picture, text, link that goes somewhere. Buy now. It's a good link. Here's the Facebook page for the same course. And I'll just see if you sort of get this. That's the latest thing that I did. See the orange picture, the text? It's the same here. Where I'm trying to go with this is when I post that thing, it automatically goes to Twitter, Facebook, and a whole stack of other things. It's exactly the same content. Now, the Yachting Queensland thing, they're doing exactly the same thing here, but you can't do it with one URL. If I pull back to this, if I click on this, it has its the URL's buried, but it's up here. It has a specific URL. It looks exactly the same as what Yachting Queensland have, but the specific URL allows me to do this on Facebook. Put the exact same things up. Now the key here is no student is looking at my website. They don't. But they're here. They're always here, and they do it in lectures. And I'll put this up, and the idea is it's here. You click on that, something's due, or there's a new discount, there's a new course, there's a new coach. It pulls them back to the website and ultimately back to my business. They're my clients, and so the same sort of thing. Where I'm trying to head is, this is perfect. The only thing is, it doesn't pop up on social media like this. And so I'm going to pull those up. Let me go back. Yep. You all right? Facebook, and this is the other. Yachting Queensland, they have stacks of stuff up here. It's really cool. It's current, it's regular, cool pictures, all sorts of stuff. I still see it as a missed opportunity because say a potential client has gone, I'm going to keep in touch with this. The idea here is to almost, when they see it, lead them by the hand back to your website and ultimately back into your business. And so you can sell them your product or service. And I scrolled through, correct me if I'm wrong, but, do they go back? Oh, I could be wrong. No, I'm not. There's no link back to your website. So with short attention spans, they might see it, but they get bored and, or did it go back to the website? No, it didn't. Does that make sense? Pops up at Facebook, give them a link back to your website. I'm nearly there, 2 seconds. Let me jump on the Discover Sailing one, and I'll leave. That's it. This is a really cool website. I like the look of it. But I did notice some problems. So it looks really cool. I love it. What do I have on here? One thing is about the menus. When you look at the home page here, you look at the home page. Correct me if I'm wrong on this too, but this is your menu, and these all just go to the same place. So it's all almost like multiple menus, and I don't really know if you need to do that. The other thing is if you have a look at the menu now, how it is, and I click on something, the menu changes. Something else pops up in here. So it's I don't know, sometimes you think of what your users are going through when they use this sort of stuff. Those sort of things can be annoying at some point. Oh, now, one thing, correct me if I'm wrong. Can I book online? I can. Oh. Because that's what I was saying, no book online. Where is it? I couldn't find it.
You have to go through the activity finder.
So maybe that's one. So you can get book online. I can pay. Because that's also the idea with online marketing websites. Provide people with the ability to book online. I didn't actually find it. And the other thing is, if you can book online, then make it prominent and make it easy to find. I think I was going through this stuff to try and book something, but getting lost. What else? Oh, now, can I ask one other quick question? Is there some sort of community page on the website? Because this is the other thing. Can you generate a community when you conduct your coaching courses and your clubs and things like that, and you have competitions? Can they also be involved online and generate some sort of community there? Can they post a picture of themselves? They can do it on Facebook, but can they do it in here? That's something else that I think sometimes it's important. Again, you lose a bit of control there. And it can be scary, but you can administer it and moderate it. And it just gives people a good feeling to be able to post stuff up on a website and go, look, there's me sailing, which I think is a really cool thing. That's pretty much, one last point. And then I'm done. One last point is when I do teach at uni, and I use all this stuff, it's a fairly innovative way to do things, but you can engage with people in different ways. We have a large international student cohort, and a lot of them come from China and different places where social media is banned. And so that's something to think about. I'm not sure how well or how much you target the international market, but for a lot of companies, it's actually a huge opportunity. They love social media, it's just banned in their country. So as soon as they come to Australia, they all have Facebook profiles. And when they go back to China, they can't actually use it. But while they're here, they do. And there's an idea, so you can sort of target international people as well in that thing. The idea also that I tossed around, and maybe it's worth talking about with your administrators and website people, is they have their own social media. It's just government sort of lockdown. It's called Ren and Weiwei or something, WEI, both same word done twice. There's two separate ones. It's all in Chinese, for the Chinese example. It is social media marketing, they love it, and they're all over it, and maybe that's another avenue. I never went down it because for me, I had to let go of too much control. I can't read what they post up, but it is another idea. That's pretty much it for me. Thanks for your time, too, guys.
Thank you for your presentation. I had a question about Instagram. So I saw that there wasn't much on there, and when you're looking at the numbers and the figures of usage, Instagram didn't come up on there. Is that because it's new and still gaining traction, or how can you use it effectively?
Yeah, well, you guys are using it. Yachting Queensland. You guys are using it. I won't pull it up, but I actually think there is no harm in using as many as possible. And the reason that I see no harm in it is because it's extremely easy to do. And the reason I didn't put it, you're right, it's new. It's not Facebook status yet, but it's new and it's cool and people are using it. It's mobile connected, which is another cool aspect of it. I see it as a perfect opportunity to post it out there, but that's why it's not up in any official data. It's pretty new. When did that come out? It's pretty recent. Yeah, a year ago as an app. But you are already using it. The reason I see no harm, or I actually see benefit in using multiple, is because different people use different social media. There's Instagram, there's Tumblr, which is another photo-based one. The reason I think the photo-based one is interesting for you guys is because it is such a photogenic environment where you conduct your business. And that was actually another idea that I sort of have. You might already be doing this. People love having pictures of themselves when they go and do stuff. Do you provide that sort of service? Can you post all that stuff up on Instagram for them to go and grab? I know students and actually a few small businesses that do this for real. They actually post it up on Facebook and sell it. Cheap, but people love photos. And so in terms of social media, that's just an idea, but in terms of social media, you might have sailors who are really artistic and they love Tumblr and Instagram, so give it to them. They love art, they love photos. It's a photogenic environment, so give it to them. Some people aren't like that at all. They just want the short bite of information. New coach, new course, new activity, new discount. Go, and that's their Twitter. The thing, I try and use as many as possible because it's so easy to do. You can actually do it automatically. You post something on your website, automatically goes to everything. So yeah, you're right. Too new to pop up. That's a government survey where I was pulling those numbers from. But definitely beneficial. Yep.
Would it be fair to say that depending on your business size and how popular your websites and whatnot are,
yep.
Would it be a fair assumption to say that it would almost generate a new employment position just to monitor and worry about that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the students. Like internships, and you don't even have, sometimes you don't have to pay much, you know, but that's a cool job for someone. And I actually think this stuff, I teach students where I actually believe their jobs aren't created yet, but that's the sort of idea, that is your job. Monitor, chatter, post, you know, respond to criticism, things like that. So yeah, definitely. And if you're a real small club, the fact that it's cheap and easy is still a key thing. If you don't have someone to do it, then minimise the amount of social media and keep it simple. Go to Facebook, it's the easiest and biggest, everyone's on it. But yeah, you're right too. It's definitely an opportunity to employ people, and that's always a really good thing to do. And yeah, opportunities, you can use students too. I really think they get experience. We have sports management students, they would love to do something like that for a week or, you know, a month. Sorry.
How often do you think we should be posting on these sorts of things?
You know, I wrote down here, find out some info on, and I've never done this, I'm supposed to do it for my teaching as well, because it's a really cool question. How often, but also when? When are when are people online? Do they get up in the morning? Is that when you get them? Because you know, if you post something on Facebook and it pops up on your 24-hour feed, it drifts away. So you can't miss it if you've been offline for a bit. So that's a really interesting question. I don't know the answer yet. In terms of the timing, in terms of how often, I say as regular as possible. I actually think there's nothing wrong with posting stuff on Facebook, social media stuff, extremely regular, 2 times a day. What you find is you have times when everything's happening. There's a new competition, there's a coaches conference, there's a new coach. You know, you might have days where you'll post heaps, you might have a week where you'll post nothing. As long as it sort of rolls on. I don't think there's any hard and fast rule. Whenever you got something new, and don't discount the fact that anything new is good. Anything positive is a good thing to put up there. I'm going to go and find out the times. That's where I want to get to.
I'd just like to ask, because I'm a Queensland, I think I'll have to support Queensland yachting. Our club would be the same way. If you looked at a bit of news, it might be old, but if it went on Facebook, sometimes if we did something at Easter, we could have it on Facebook Sunday night, and I'm pretty sure you're in Queensland, what we're doing yesterday, today and tomorrow, I'm sure they'll have a Facebook by tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a really good thing. I think where I was trying to head with Yachting Queensland's site is they have a really cool latest news page. It didn't seem to automatically link. I couldn't see the same posts popping up on Facebook. Well, I think I'm trying to head to whatever goes up on your website also gets up on social media.
So we're actually going to have to cut it because we need to get you guys out on the boats. But if you do have any other questions, we can facilitate that, and hopefully I can pass
And you
them
can
through
contact me
to
too if you
Jason.
want.
So we will be open communications. So
Thanks for your time too. Thanks for having me.